This is Theodore's busy board build. Originally, I was looking for a toy to buy him for Christmas, but I couldn't find what I wanted. So I just decided to build him, and this is what I started off with as my first design and ideas of what I would build him with the cogs and the lights and the bells. But it would progress from there. So here goes the build. Here I started with drilling the hole for the push light. Unfortunately, my tool didn't drill out a large enough hole, so I used a Dremel to just keep on grinding down an even size hole and get the push light to finally fit in. After I was able to drill out that hole, I started sanding down the entire board so it'd be nice and smooth, and I can apply a coat of shellac for it. So this was my first time applying a coat of shellac to anything, but it added a nice stain. Unfortunately, I did it a little uneven, but that would be an easy fix later. The next thing I started doing was the letters that would go on his board. So I chose his initials, and I also chose ABC. And rather than paint them, I just chose to actually just use Sharpies to color them in. It seemed like an easier way to go and dry faster as well. Then after that, I had already cut the doors that would go over his letters, but I was just smoothing them out and making sure they're 100 or as straight as could be, and then pretty smooth. And I would hand sand them later just to make sure that they were actually as smooth as can be. And then, like I said, the coat of shellac wasn't even, so I had to just sand it back down and then apply a new coat. And then it came out pretty even and looked pretty good after the second coat. Then I got back to hand sanding the doors for the letters that I planned on putting on there. After I hand sanded them, they're smoothed out. I glued them to the doors and then sprayed some lacquer over them so it had a little bit better seal and had a little bit of a shine to it as well. And now it's time to drill the hole for the easy button. Again, I don't have the right tools, so I just had to do with what I had. It was very difficult. It came out a little bit uneven, but I made the best of it with just the drill and Dremel. And for the cogs, I wanted to add a little bit of color and design just to make it a little bit more colorful. So I had Cassie hand paint them. She hand drew them first, and then she hand painted all four of the cogs. And then after that, I sprayed them with lacquer to give them a shine. I like the way the initials and the ABCs look so much, so I did his whole name and put them on the board as well. And then I started test fitting some of the other gadgets just to see where they would go and how they'd fit. So I pre-drilled some holes for those. And then after that, I started test fitting where his initials would go and where the doors would be placed. And so I just measured it all out and got it on there. Put the initials glued down after that. Again, I sprayed some more lacquer to add more of a shine and just to give it a better seal for the letters as well on the board. The last thing was with the doors is putting epoxy onto them with the hinges, because the drills or the screws would have been too long and would have been poking out, so they would have poked Theodore. So we had to epoxy the hinges to the doors, and then I would screw the doors into the board. And then this is screwing the doors into the board, and then test fitting the cogs right here, seeing where they're going. This was a bit difficult just to get them all to work correctly and trying to figure out where they would fit and when you would spin them, how they would actually work and not get stuck. Next, I reinstalled some of the gadgets that I had already drilled holes for, and then I installed the door security lock or security door lock. And I installed another door with another lock on it as well, but this door is a little bit larger than those other three doors, and it'll hide pictures behind of it for him to look at. So once I got those installed, it was time to actually epoxy in the push light and the easy button. The easy button was a little bit more difficult than the others, but I was eventually able to get it to stay with the epoxy and drying there, so hopefully it'll hold up. If it doesn't, I did put duct tape on it at the end. Next, I installed a combination lock and a spinning wheel for him to kind of mess around with as well. And this is me just for security, putting the duct tape like I said I would. And then after that, I push it a few times just to make sure it's pretty secure, and it seemed pretty secure. The next thing I wanted to install was a tube, so I went and found a 1.5-inch bendable tube, got some zip ties, and molded it as much as I could to be as curvy as I could, but then it'll be used just to throw a ball or any little toys down. And these are some slats from a bunk bed I had just thrown out, but I'm going to put them on the back of the busy board to attach the doors to. But before that, I got to get the wooden Jordan emblem colored. I'm going to do it the original Chicago pool colors, but it'll be spinning on the front of the busy board, and it's more like just a fidget spinner type thing. Now that the slats are all in place on the back of the busy board, I can attach the doors. The doors are basically back there just to hide all of the screws that are poking out and all the other things that are poking out. And also just so I can keep opening the doors every time I need to change the batteries or whatnot. And once I get the doors on, I'm going to attach a latch to them with a lock so then I can open them and change the batteries as needed. Next, I'm just going to rearrange a few pieces and put some doors back on. But the combination lock I rearranged or moved to the middle because up there in that corner I want to put the Jordan emblem so it could spin up there freely, because here in the middle there wasn't enough space. Now the Jordan emblem, behind the Jordan emblem, I put a straw just from McDonald's just so it'll spin more freely off of the board. And then next after that, I needed to put on what was a plunger, and it looks more like a shift knob to me with a shift boot, so I'm gonna put it on there so you could just kind of play around with it, move it around or whatnot. The last part on the front here is putting the pictures of him on the behind the doors. One picture is him and myself, and the other one's of him and his mom, and both pictures are of him at the fair with us. So those will be behind the doors for him to open up and see. Now to finish it, it's just putting stickers on the back side. I bought one of those branded sticker packs from Amazon, and I'll just completely fill it up as much as I could with the pack of stickers that I got, and then I'll add stickers as I get stickers later on. But it'll avoid splinters and having to have it all smoothed out on the back side, so stickers seem like an easier way to go for me. Alright, so here's the finished product, and this is after about roughly 3 weeks, with an hour here, 30 minutes there, whenever I could really find time. But the last thing for me to do is just give him his busy board and watch him play with it, and hopefully he'll like it. So let's see.